I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I help formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them.
It's Wednesday,
Learn
May
their
the
journey.
6th.
Get the pearls of wisdom from
Do
them.
you
But don't
know
have them
what
do for you.
time
Then
it is?
you can't do it for yourself.
Yes, sir. Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. And welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, the Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. Because it doesn't matter what you think, what you believe, if there's not any action behind it, it is all for naught. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. For the next 3 hours, you can participate in this unique national conversation and be heard all over the world because we have countries now plugged in from outside the United States as well as every state and region in the country. All you have to do is call me at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And if you can't call in, you can go to the message board and send a message. Like Alice Wade is already on the message board saying, "Good afternoon, Reverend Al. Always good advice for our young and old as well." Well, I try to, and some of our callers have good advice. James Thomas says, "Reverend, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton, and happy Witness Warrior Wednesday. And warriors, we need to stand up and fight because we're in perilous times right now. Can I get a witness?" James, you got a witness, and I like that. It is Warrior Witness Wednesday. Let's call that for today Warrior Witness Wednesday. I'm thinking that one for today. I like that because we need some warriors. Everybody ain't ready, or should I say properly, is not ready for being a warrior. Some are, armchair revolutionaries. Some are people selling things that they know won't happen, stuff, just, we need to do this, that, and the other, no good and well, we can't get it done. And then some of us are warriors. We deal with that's on the field, fight the enemy that's on the field, not sit up in the tent away from warfare, philosophize. And I think that it is important. I see Monique Green says, "You used to work with my grandma, started the Meals on Wheels in Brooklyn." You talking about Miss Green? If you talking about the Miss Green I know, she did start the Meals on Wheels. And you're right, I used to work with her. I used to be a volunteer. She helped me start my national youth movement when I was 16 years old. If we talking about the same person, you had a great grandmother. Wow, that's wonderful that you would call in. Let me say this. Stirring news just broke. The FBI has raided the offices of the Virginia Senate pro tem, president of the Virginia Senate pro tem, President Louise Lucas, raided her office. As we speak, they're probably still in there. It just broke. And now she spearheaded the vote yes vote in Virginia that stopped the right-wing Trumpsters from changing the district map in Virginia and getting away with it. They went with the map that she, Senator Lucas, and others championed. Now, I'm not going to say that I have evidence that it is a backlash to what she did, but I can say the timing is very interesting. And it just, I don't like to believe in coincidences. So, again, the Virginia Senate President pro tem, Louise Lucas, who led the yes vote and salvaged, in my opinion, democracy in Virginia just a couple of weeks ago, FBI just raided her offices. I have no idea what the raid is for based on what we'll see if there's something there. But right now, I find it interesting. We also see that President Trump has announced a pause on Project Freedom. Now, Project Freedom was supposed to pull the last stops out on the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, and but at the request of Pakistan and other countries, they're saying that Trump is saying that he'll back up and wait on the results of the negotiations. He says that combat in Iran are not over, but the U.S. could go in for 2 more weeks. Now, they had Rubio at the White House making this announcement, and we'll see. I think Trump wants out. I think he understands going in has hurt him, and I think that he's trying to find a way out. Now, you remember yesterday he was selling wolf tickets that, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Today, he's agreeing to Project Freedom being put on hold. And we're going to keep monitoring this. Now, before you get too jitty and before you get too happy, the vote in Indiana yesterday over redistricting, with 5 GOP legislators defeated, and Trump came back and with revenge in Indiana over the redistricting vote. He sent a clear message to Indiana Republicans who defied him. 5 GOP state senators who opposed Trump's redistricting were defeated in the primary yesterday. This is a Republican primary. This is only where Republicans voted. 5 of them went down against Trump opponents. So if any of you think that Donald Trump is in serious trouble with all Republicans, Indiana may be a bellwether showing some of them are going to stick with him no matter what. 5 of those that were not identified with him lost in Indiana yesterday. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy wins the Republican nomination for Ohio for governor, and of course, he faces Sherrod Brown. And Trump again showed his power. He endorsed Ramaswamy, and the Republicans in Ohio went with Trump's choice. So he's weak in the polls across the board, Democrats, independents. But Republicans in Ohio and Indiana show they're staying with him. Good news for Democrats is they keep control of the state Senate in Michigan yesterday. And Green, who is a Marine veteran and firefighter, he defeated the Republican Jason Tooney, former prosecutor, which keeps control of the Michigan Senate under Democrats. So a lot happened yesterday. Let's talk about all of it and whatever else is on your mind and in your heart. And as I get updates on the Virginia Senate President Pro Tem Lucas's raid, I will share that with you. Let's take a quick break and let's open up the phone. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Warrior Witness Wednesday. That's what we're calling it today. Warrior Witness Wednesday. We'll be right back.
Breaking news. The issues, the stories.
I thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, that doesn't mean you become narcissistic, where you think the whole world's about you. But no, you develop a strong, healthy ego. That's right, I said it. Nothing wrong with a strong, healthy ego that makes you determined to be what others gave up on being, who may have had ability to be it, but they were too weak and they didn't think enough of themselves to do it. Think enough of yourself to do something with yourself. Unapologetic. And it is also in self-awareness and self-acknowledgement and pushing yourself forward. Again, not in a narcissistic way, not in a it's me and only me way, but in a healthy ego way. Where yes, I'm gonna help others because that's who I am, not because I feel less than and I feel that I'm compensating something by helping others. No, I'm fulfilling me. Yes, I'm going to build and strengthen a family because that's who I am, not because I've been beat down to do it. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate your uniqueness. Celebrate your achievements. Your first responsibility in life is what you do with you. God already gave you life and certain gifts and talents unique unto you. Now what you do with it, and if you do well with it, celebrate it. Unapologetic.
How you doing?
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, it's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad news, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are. Because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain. But love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress.
Keeping it real, keeping it real.
Dream of peace.
I am your
Peace
host,
is fashion.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. And let me clarify something that I may have given wrong. Vivek Ramaswamy did win with the Republican nomination in Ohio for governor. He's not running for Senate. He's running for governor against Amy Acton, and she's the Democrat. And he's supported by Trump. So that's going to be a very important race, Acton against Ramaswamy. And I was correct that Sherrod Brown won the nomination for the Democrats for the Senate, but he'll be facing John Husted, I believe I'm saying his name right, who's the Republican. So we're going to see a battle there in both the gubernatorial race and the Senate race in Ohio, which is going to be extremely important going into the midterms. Ohio stakes are high. I'm sure our Cleveland chapter, led by Marcia McCoy, our Columbus chapter, Cincinnati, all are gearing up to get people out for the vote. All right, let's also mention I give my condolences to Ted Turner's family. Ted Turner, founder of CNN. And CNN was the first cable station, Empire, news station all the time. He also had owned, I think, the baseball team for a while there, and he did a lot of different. He was certainly a pioneer in media and entrepreneurship, and I met him several times when I was in Georgia a lot with James Brown, back in the day, as they say. And he was quite a different kind of character, but I wish his family my condolences to the family of Ted Turner. Let me say by way of announcements, we are gearing up this weekend for Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. It's going to be burning up hot. What the primaries that just happened yesterday, Indiana, Ohio, what all this means, where's this going, and where's the redistricting going? Even some are saying let's do a redistricting in New York. And since the Republicans want to do that, draw some of their lines out. I'm going to deal with that with some of the governors and members of the Senate and Congress this weekend. So make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now, 5 o'clock Eastern Time on MS Now. And I'm going to deal with the Ohio race. Like I said, the race in Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy is running for governor against Amy Acton, and Houston is running against Sherrod Brown, Republican to Democrat. It's going to be, the whole country is going to be watching that, see where it's going. And I think that it is important we do. All right, Bishop Christopher McCarter is on the message board saying, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. Love watching and listening to your shows. Watching from Rockville, Connecticut. Thank you, Bishop. And I'm glad you're on with us, Bishop, watching and being with us on Warrior Witness Wednesday. Let me also say, by way of announcements, Saturday Action Rally. We are going to be there. I'm laying out how we're doing our brigades. We're starting for the brigades. There are going to be other mass gatherings that we're going to do. And we're going to do it on Saturday morning, the Saturday Action Rally at Mother AME Zion, the historic Mother AME Zion in Harlem at 137th Street and Lenox Avenue, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. You that are in the New York, Connecticut, New Jersey area, come be with us as we do it on Saturday morning. You that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television, on National Action Network.net live stream, or on YouTube/NAN. And let me tell you, it's important to be a part of these rallies. One, it energize you, inspire you, and second, we give instructions to go forward. And we're going to be about 2 to 3 weeks more there at the church at Mother AME Zion. And I'm so ecstatic that Reverend Malcolm Byrd and the officers of that church let us use that temporarily because it's a historic site. They have the little museum there in the vestibule where Frederick Douglass spoke there, and they have the actual pulpit he used to speak from. Paul Robeson was a member of that church. Church is almost 200 years old. Paul Robeson was a member of the church. His brother, Paul Robeson's brother, pastored the church once. Madam C.J. Walker's funeral was there. She wrote in her will she wanted her funeral at Mother AME Zion. Sojourner Truth changed her name from her slave name to Sojourner Truth at the altar of that church. So that is really an honor that we're doing our rallies there temporarily. And then we're going to make some history and go into our own building. They're fixing it up now at the National Action Network's House of Justice, formerly the Faison, named after George Faison, who started it, that building, and sold it to us. And we are fixing it up, ready to go probably early June. But we're excited about it. We want to, as everybody's talking about gentrification, we move back into Harlem, got a mortgage for several $1 million and put up some money. And others are helping us. Many of you listening have pledged $500 or more to help us, or whatever they could do. You can do it at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. All right, that's my announcements and my appeal on this Warrior Witness Wednesday. Good way of being a warrior is to help with the building fund. All right, we're going to be right back after this. 1-877-532-5797. Hold up, the bishop, the one and only Tommy Lewis, T.L. Lewis, is on board in Birmingham at the Ministers' Conference, is being connected with you. About 60 pastors joining in. We still need you in our fight. God bless you. There's nobody like T.L. Lewis. Tommy Lewis. Jesse, every time Jesse Jackson saw him in the audience, he'd make him get up and sing. Tommy Lewis called Jesse on the next flight to Birmingham. Long-time warrior. Love Tommy Lewis. All right, let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Keeping it real.
I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Sheard knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. We went to the Car Center, and James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said to us, Al, Meeks, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said, disciples? And for years we joked each other. I'd come in the room and Junior said, here's disciple number one. But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson. On Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, Al, you see what that artifact is? I said, what's that? He said, they call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery, or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return. But I talked to him about 3 years ago, and I reminded him, I said, remember when you brought me to the door of no return? He said, yeah. I said, well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as
global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you had.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
When they came for the dream. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to keep it real with Reverend Al Sharpton right here on Uber TV. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. Every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Happy 20th anniversary to Reverend Al Sharpton on 20 years of Keeping It Real. 2 decades of truth-telling, fearless advocacy, and keeping the people informed and empowered. Thank you for always speaking power to justice and standing firm for what's right. Here's to 20 years of impact and many more to come.
We have a young man in the studio who I think is an astounding young brother because of his youth. He's only 19 years old and he's accomplished a lot, and he's here to make a presentation to James Brown, and we'd like to welcome him warmly. His name is Al Sharpton. How about it for Al Sharpton? Al is the National Director of the National Youth Movement Incorporated. Right, Al?
That's right.
And what do we have here?
Well, we come to break tradition. We know that in the recording industry that they give a gold record to those that achieve a million seller. But we view your million seller payback as a black record because it is relevant and says many of the things that young blacks have tried to say and could not musically express in our own little way.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, and of course, you can also go on the message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. At this, we're calling Warrior Witness Wednesday. I see on the message board, Happiness Donut is saying the haters increase engagement. Welcome. I welcome the haters. I really do. Because, one, they increase the listeners because everybody wants to hear what they got to say and how I'm going to answer. And two, it shows you that how empty a lot of their points are. You know, some people can sound smart till somebody just raises common sense question and say, well, wait a minute, make that make sense. What about boom, boom, boom? And they can't answer it. And they go into, you know, some of them just going screaming and hollering and calling you names because they can't answer it. The others try to make up stuff, not understand. I've been here a long time. I done heard all the makeup stuff. But welcome, welcome, welcome. Drive up our viewers. Drive up. And I think that it is in our interest to just try to see clarity. Like DJ Biggs, he's on our message board. Tell U.S. leaders, or tell us leaders, I guess, from Caribbean island, Africa, etc., who fought for black Americans, always exploiting black Americans, FBA freedmen leaders here in America, like penny candies. I don't know what like penny candies mean. And I don't know, first of all, many Caribbean Americans were exploited too. They were enslaved too. Some African nations certainly were under the wrath of colonialism. And yes, some mistreated us, some were under the wrath of colonialism. Caribbean nations under slavery. So I don't know what your point is. You got some blacks here that disrespect us here. That some of y'all do. So let me get this right. Y'all can call people names that have fought their way. Because it ain't your way, they ain't nothing. Rather than have a discussion and find common ground, since all of us that was born here and have the bloodline, you claim to respect. So I don't get it. Y'all want to pick a fight that really ain't my fight. But facts will always outweigh falsehoods. Don't forget, all of the Caribbean was exploited, and many of them enslaved. And Haiti all till Toussaint L'Ouverture, and they came back on them. And many African nations were colonized. So let's talk facts, brother. I assume you, brother. I don't know from the handle. Let's go to Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Buzz. Ray, you're on Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton on Warrior Witness Wednesday.
Thanks for taking my call, Rev. Hear me okay?
I do hear you.
Good, because I want a lot of people to hear me on this one. When it came to the vote last night, yeah, Sherrod Brown ran away with it. Vivek Ramaswamy, he ran away with it, but he wasn't running against anyone. He was just running against, another Republican, which, so it's pretty much a dead heat between Ramaswamy and Amy Acton. So people got to come out and vote. I just hope Sherrod Brown this time, if help is coming his way from a Democratic Party, because he didn't want it when he lost. Him and Tim Ryan, they both didn't want any help from the Democrat Party, and they both lost. So I hope this time around, take the help where you can. But I want to say this before, and I told you yesterday, I want to get to something Rachel Maddow said on Monday. But before I do that, Trump and this is where it's kind of a head scratcher. Donald Trump here in Indiana, 5 of his 7 incumbents, he wanted them out, and
Right.
5 of the 7 they're out.
Right.
So my thing is, I would rather have an incumbent than 5 non-incumbents is not, or Republicans is not going to be 5 incumbents from a Democrat. So I'm kind of confused on that, especially with the way this economy is, and so I think he kind of screwed up on that one. More incumbents will hold office than non-incumbents, I think. I could be wrong.
I think that's an interesting point. I think it's a good, valid point to bring up. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, let me get to Rachel Maddow, because what she said on Monday, and these are my notes that I didn't have yesterday, is President Johnson, Lyndon Johnson, he signed an executive order that federal contractors were banned from discriminating against an employee based on race, religion, and so forth. Donald Trump, this is what Trump did. He rescinded that order with an executive order.
Right.
Now, I want people to keep that in mind. In 1968, the Fair Housing Act basically bans housing discrimination. This is what Donald Trump did. He dropped enforcing that law.
Right.
He dropped enforcing that law. Black unemployment is 6 to 7% under Trump. In 2023, under Joe Biden, it was 4.8%.
Right.
And all you black folks out there,
that is not including the business contracts. That's just employment.
Right.
And you're up 2 points of unemployment under Trump than you was under Biden. And you're almost doubly unemployed to whites. And you're not even dealing with the contracts.
Yep. And all those black folks that don't vote and think that their lives, this is why your lives are not better, because you don't vote for the folks that will make it better. And you black MAGAs out there, just keep in mind that if you're discriminated based on, a housing discrimination, it's not going to be enforced. There's no sense of going to the Justice Department or anywhere else to try to get justice for that. So why can't you understand that? I'll never know. And one last thing Rachel Maddow brought up. She brought up that black employees were fired. This is going back like towards Woodrow Wilson, was fired or demoted to lower level jobs, and they were regulated to separate and inferior lunchrooms and other facilities.
Right.
Black workers in the post office was surrounded by screens, so whites couldn't look at them. That's. I hope people heard what I just said. They didn't want blacks looking at whites in the post office where both of them were working,
and the taxes paying for it.
Yep.
See, the one misnomer.
So people better wake up.
The one misnomer that people have is that we're begging. We're not begging. We pay taxes. We want everything every other taxpayer gets. This ain't no begging. But thank you for your call. Happiness Donut said on line, no, I want to go to the first one, she said. All right. She says, anyone with any sense of history would realize that many families were captured and sold, traveled on the same ships, and were unloaded in different places. So when you talk mess, it's about who? And that's exactly my point. We act like when we were captured in Africa and sold into slavery, that we said, I'd rather land in Barbados, and somebody else said, I'd rather land in Alabama. We had no choice. We landed where the ship landed. Let's quit acting crazy and fight the enemies that don't want us to repair the damage to all of us rather than fight each other. Something crazy to me about folks that are more mad at other black folks than they are with the folks that continue to exploit us to this day. Isn't that interesting? Some of them spend all day challenging Rev Al and anybody else and have nothing to say about Trump. I wonder why. Maybe I have an answer. Maybe you do too. I mean, think about that now. You ain't met with nobody. You ain't marched on no Trump rally. You ain't went and asked Trump no hard questions, but you want to hold us accountable. That's why I say what I say. That's why my folks is ready for when people want to be disruptive, because we know how to be disruptive. We will disrupt the disruptors because it doesn't make sense. It don't make sense. I have disagreement with some people in the civil rights community, but I ain't gonna get out there and argue against them more than I'm gonna argue against those taking our civil rights, unless I'm somehow connected with those that take it, or I'm somehow ignorant, one or the other, of the fact that they take it. Akeem Smith is on the message board saying, and this is important, it says, Reverend Sharpton, NBC News is reporting gas prices are over $4.50 officially. Officially now. It was in the $3 mark. This war has put us to $4.50. And y'all running around talking about Trump ain't that bad. No, he's worse. And doing it in the name of blackness. I started to say you ought to be ashamed of yourself, but I think some of you don't have no shame. You're shameless. And that's how we talk to you, because we know who you are and we know who you are not. You know, one of the things that's good about social media, you can get where people send these messages from, and you can look and find out who these people are. So just know that everybody knows how to handle what they got to handle. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. It's Warrior Witness Wednesday. 1-877-532-5797 Sharpton. Be right back.
Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain. But love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and a judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality.
Rev, you know you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, but I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself,
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. My stylist, Aisha McShaw, made this particularly for me to express the hard black but the gold. And I'm here tonight to say to these artists that we need to bring this world back to a level where we all exude what we have inside.
What about the Bezos that says cheers? How do you feel about that?
I think that every year I've come, they've had very wealthy people that supported MAGA, and it didn't stop me from coming. They don't have enough money to keep me from talking to the artists. I came to support. We fought for years for diversity. I'm here to support Venus and Beyonce. And that's why I'm here. How do we fight and let a sponsor make us walk away from the people we fought for? And I salute Anna Wintour for making them co-chairs despite the controversy. My fashion sense is the ultimate African urban flavor, unapologetic.
I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the door's open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself. Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life,
Keeping it real.
I would live confused.
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and I'm looking at the message board. I see. Well, let me read them before I go. Cynthia Walcox is saying, "Good afternoon, Reverend Al Sharpton. Looking great. Thank you for all you do. No justice, no peace. We must continue to fight. And we're grateful this Wednesday, and I thank you for that." And I was seeing, I thought it was Happiness Donuts that was saying something caught my eye. So many's coming in on top of it, I can't hold the screen up. She says, "Thanks for the clarification of my vote is for Miss Angela Bassett as best dressed." And I think that someone before her said that how the New York City NYC fashion and the Met Gala buys their clothes from a lot of workers that provide a lot of jobs. for blacks in New York, which is very true. And said, okay, the major design companies pay for the 100K tables, not the ones attending. They don't pay out of pocket. The table buyers provide an invitation list to the co-chairs. That's true. Many of us, including me, I've been to 3 Met Galas. We don't pay a dime. The sponsors, some are very conservative, some are very liberal, invite us. Just like probably the most progressive member of the New York City Council, Gail Brewer, was there the other night and was there last year and year before that. So that's true. But a lot of people want to make it what they want to make it because they want to make it that way. All right, let's go back to the phone. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD, the word.
Hey, Rev. I'm starting to film my conversations with you and post them on my YouTube page, Disco Brian Davis. And I got behind me my sign from the No Kings rally that I brought last time. It says "No Kings, No Cults," and it has a picture of Hassan Piker and Theo Vaughn, the bigot comedian. And it has under there, it says, "Bigotry isn't comedy." That was my message at the No Kings rally. I'm also wearing my Dolly Parton quote T-shirt here. It says, "Figure out who you are and do it on purpose." And I think that really resonates with so many of your beautiful morning meditations that give me purpose and help me carry on, Rev.
Now,
so
who was that? Who are you
there.
quoting there, Dolly Parton?
That's Dolly Parton.
Wow.
Yeah, she said, "Figure out who you are and do it on purpose." Isn't that nice?
I love that.
Amen. Rev, I want to follow up really respectfully on Joe from Philadelphia who called in yesterday. I want to be clear here. I oppose Netanyahu's far-right government. I was almost kicked out of my at University of Washington. I attended there back in the early 2000s. I was almost kicked out for doing a report on the occupation of Palestine and based on the work of Edward Said. So I have a long history of doing everything I can to oppose the Kahanist far-right government currently hijacking the Israeli Knesset. So I want to state that at the top here. And Rev, there's a difference, and I haven't understood this until very recently. There's a big difference between Zionism and Kahanism. And I don't think I've never heard anybody in media ever discuss this. Kahanism is the far-right fascist Jewish extremist Ben Gvir Netanyahu regime, and Zionism is a totally different thing, right? I didn't always understand the difference, but Zionism at its core is simply the belief that Jewish people have a right to a homeland, and it doesn't inherently mean supporting settlements, occupation, or far-right policies, which is why you have people like President Biden and Chuck Schumer, very different backgrounds, who identify as Zionists while also criticizing and opposing Netanyahu's regime, as Chuck Schumer did a little over a year ago on the floor of the Senate, denouncing the far-right fascist Israeli regime and demanding elections. And Rev, as hundreds of thousands of Israelis have been doing for the past 20 years, ever since Netanyahu, again, who is Trump's and Bibi's friend, took over. And remember, it's those far-right Kahanist Israelis who are responsible for the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin, who was the guy who was trying to bring peace to Palestine and Israel. So when we reduce everything to slogans, we really lose that nuance and risk talking past each other instead of building coalitions. And Rev, that's really my concern here in this race in Philadelphia. As the Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker said last year, in a moment like this, the direction of the country depends on who we choose to listen to, who we elevate, and who we ignore. And that's exactly why this matters in the race here in Philly, because we're not just talking about policy, we're talking about judgment. And Rev, here are the facts directly addressing the caller, Joe, from yesterday, and bringing it back to who.
All right, you got to wind it down.
Chris Rabb.
I cannot have you and Joe do the whole show now.
I'm sorry, brother. Okay, Rev. All I want to say is this, right? We went to Chris Rabb's rally. He's the progressive candidate running here in Philadelphia's 3rd district, and his audience, he was rallying with Hassan Piker, the bigot, and his audience was as white and young as Senator Street's audiences are black and wise. We've been to both. And I just want to say, man, you know, the caller said he's a member of the Nation of Islam. I'm voting for the black Muslim, right, in this district, who is openly denouncing the rising anti-Semitism on the far left. And so I can't, it boggles my mind how somebody who, you know, identifies with Nation of Islam would be voting for the populist leftist who stands with the bigot, millionaire, you know, bigot who's friends with Theo Vaughn. So anyway, Rev, I'm not sure how any of it makes sense, but I know we live in crazy times. So I guess the talking heads were right when they said, stop making sense. I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your call. And I appreciate your call. I appreciate the others' call. But again, y'all going to have to cut this down 2 or 3 minutes. We cannot do the whole show on the Philadelphia local race. So y'all respect the time. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it Sharpton. Keeping it real with Sharpton. Be right back.
We have a young man in the studio who I think is an astounding young brother because of his youth. He's only 19 years old, and he's accomplished a lot, and he's here to make a presentation to James Brown, and we'd like to welcome him warmly. His name is Al Sharpton. How about it for Al Sharpton? Al is the national director of the National Youth Movement Incorporated. Right, Al?
That's right.
And what do we have here?
Well, we come to break tradition. We know that in the recording industry that they give a gold record to those that achieve a million seller. But we view your million seller payback as a black record because it is relevant and says many of the things that young blacks have tried to say and could not musically express in our own little way. And we feel the payback is sort of like the theme song of Young Black America in 1974. Yeah.
Now, before you go into the title tune of your latest album, you have a special guest.
Yeah, I do have a special guest, a young lady.
That's going to perform with you.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
I'll tell you that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. resisted. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first, and we'll be last. We know who we are.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president. But we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this. The only thing that I really live for is I get up
with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
How you doing?
I'm ready. Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and it is Warrior Witness Wednesday. Somebody gave me that earlier in the show, and I like it. Let's go to Derek in Brooklyn, New York. Derek.
Yeah, what's up, Al?
I'm fine.
Hello?
I'm fine.
Okay, I want to talk about the civil rights that came down on voting rights last week, and I was on the internet yesterday, and this guy named Leroy James Terrell, he's a civil rights lawyer and also Republican, worked for Donald Trump, and he's calling you out about the Civil Rights Act. He said you need to get in contact with him. I know you saw it on social media. And I would like to see that battle.
I have no idea who he is. Get in touch with him about what? Everybody knows how to get in touch with me. If he wants to talk to me, call National Action Network, call us on the radio. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Leroy.
I have no idea. Telling me his name doesn't help me if I don't know who you're talking about.
He's a civil rights attorney. He works in the DOJ.
And if he wants to contact me, he can contact me. I do not know how to contact him, and I'm certainly not going to tell my staff to contact somebody because somebody on radio told me they want to talk to me. So if he really want to talk to me, I'm the easiest person in the world to reach. I have offices all over the country, and I'm on radio every day. All you got to do is call me. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Ira in Washington, D.C. I mean, that's absurd. Somebody trying to reach me from DOJ didn't know how to reach me. Let's go to Ira in Washington, D.C. Ira, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yeah, good evening, Al Sharpton. Thanks for taking my call. It's going to come to the quick point. It's a public service announcement. I read an article. I didn't get to fact check it thoroughly, but they were saying in Louisiana, they got this big prison there, and they got this law, some kind of crazy law about people being homeless, and they're making it a felony, and they're charging these people for being homeless, but they're making them homeless and causing them to be able to have to work for the government of that state in order to pay the restitution on money they claim they don't have to pay for their own being homeless, and they're making them homeless in order to imprison them to make them work. And that's the same thing they're doing in New York the same way. So what I saw, same thing, they're taking these Section 8 vouchers from people, and they're not going to do it because by 2027, they're not going to do that because the government has to pay for that Section 8 stuff and all these government programs by 2027. That's why they're dismantling those programs. So anybody's on Section 8 or any kind of housing assistance or rental assistance or utility assistance, they're not paying them because the government has to pay them. They're not going to pay them, and it's really affecting people of color in a sense. So I just want to bring it out to just in case nobody didn't know. But that just sounds like it's kind of unfair and it's just disgraceful and racial and it just actually going against black people, period, and making them homeless and making it a crime to be homeless. So I don't know.
Is this a crime, a federal crime, a state crime? I mean, who is making this a crime? Under what jurisdiction?
I think it's the state of, from what I understood, the state of Louisiana. They got this prison there that they got all these black guys, or black men mostly, incarcerated there. And those people, along with the ones who are homeless, they had to work for, in other words, like they had them working for the state prison if they don't have money. And that's how they're getting them in prison, these people, to work as slave labor because they don't have money to pay a bill for being homeless. They're making them homeless so they can have them as captives of slave labor. And I had to look back into that again, but this is what I read briefly in an article that I saw. So I might have to get back with you on that and confirm that for sure, but it doesn't look right, and it sounds like it's about right. They're making them homeless deliberately so that they can enslave these black people and make them work for the federal government for free in order to pay bills.
Okay, all right. I will check into that. That is egregious if that is happening, and I would not doubt it's happening. I mean, they've allowed all kinds of things to be, in my opinion, sidestepped and destroyed. Thank you for your call, Ira. In my opinion, it is unfathomable because even when you deal with gentrification, a lot of it is mythology, is that they act as though that people that are moving into neighborhoods that were inhabited for generations by blacks are just smarter and better with their business. Well, a lot of it is they can get financing that a lot of us have been denied. That's one of the reasons why when we decided to seek financing to get this multi-million-dollar building in Harlem, I wanted to be an example of us not leaving the community, but staying right there in Harlem, 124th Street and Morningside. And we're going to do that with our chapters around the country because I want to challenge how you can take the same property and deny a black 2 or 3 generation family any kind of financing to own a property that they've got a history with. And you could take a kid out of another community and loan them money, 30-year mortgage, on no background. And you say, well, the guy may have a better credit rating or more banks, but mortgages ought to be based on stability. And there's something very suspect about what they're doing. I've had issues with this for a while, but I really dug down in it in the last few weeks, last couple of months, since I've been part of the negotiation on the purchase of this new National Action Network headquarters, because I started hearing stories of people around that neighborhood that were so thankful that we would come because they're afraid of being pushed out by developers and other people that push them out. And some of it's not even just about money alone and about having some leverage in terms of their private business. Some of it is family history. This is what grandma and grandpa And in some cases, mother and father left for us in the family. So like, and you that on live stream can see that's the building we bought. I want 100 years from now, people to ride by there and say that's the House of Justice. They were established 21st century to do A, B, C, D. Landmarks. Everybody in the world establishes landmarks. That's what your family property is. Landmark. You should revere it. And you should teach your children to revere it. Because then it gives longevity. And it gives a sense of continuity to your family. Yes, that's right. Happiness Donuts is saying black ownership matters. I tell a lot of young guys come by the House of Justice, or if I'm on the road and speaking somewhere and they're talking, and I'll make it a point sometime to just go in the community and talk to people. And people say, well, Remal, you got to understand how we deal with our turf. I said, first of all, if you paying rent, this ain't your turf. If your mom or daddy, if you're still that young, paying rent, this ain't your turf. This is the landlord's turf, who you paying rent to. So explain to me how you can understand that, but you can't understand how to respect each other in a conversation or respect each other in terms of interface. So you are going to join a group to go against another group who ain't done nothing to you, but both of y'all black and y'all just going to gangbang. And in the middle of all of that, the landlord comes in once a month and get his rent. And y'all don't bother him, and nor should you. I'm not endorsing that. But what I'm saying is that you have selective civility. You know who to go after, and you know who you better not think to go after. Yet you're going to sell me that this is your turf. You know whose turf it really is, and you know who to behave around, and you know who not to. That's what we're trying to change and train you to think different about yourself. Because if you think different about yourself, you'll think differently about those that look like you. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Let's have more of you on the phones and on the message board. 1-877-544-6290. 532. I'm giving the Sunday show number. 532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton. Keeping it real. Be right back. Keeping it real. My stylist, Aisha McShaw, made this particularly for me to express the hard black but the gold. And I'm here tonight to say to these artists that we need to bring this world back to a level where we all exude what we have inside.
What about the Bezos-sized chairs? How do you feel about that?
I think that every year I've come, they've had very wealthy people that supported MAGA, and it didn't stop me from coming. They don't have enough money to keep me from talking to the artists. I came to support. We fought for years for diversity. I'm here to support Venus and Beyonce, and that's why I'm here. How do we fight and let a sponsor make us walk away from the people we fought for? And I salute Anna Wintour for making them co-chairs despite the controversy. My fashion sense is the ultimate African urban flavor, unapologetic.
Yeah, I'm out at Brooklyn.
Now I'm down in Tribeca, right next to De Niro. But I'll be hood forever, I'm the new Sinatra. And since I made it here, I can make it anywhere. Yeah, they love me everywhere. I used to cop in Harlem, all of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. Pulled me back to that McDonald's, took it to my stash spot, 560 State Street. Catch me in the kitchen like a Simmons whipping pastry. Cruising down A Street, off-white Lexus. Driving so slow, but BK is from Texas. Me, I'm out that Bed-Stuy, home of that boy Biggie. Now I live on Billboard, and I brought my boys with me. Say what up to Tata, still sipping my top. Sitting courtside, Knicks and Nets give me high five. I be spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.
Don't get it twisted. Everybody hollering loud ain't saying something. We need activists that are at large, but we need those that will continue these institutions and these organizations. If you are what you should be, you don't have to have nobody step aside. People will push you up.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
is simple.
You live.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Jimmy Elliott says on our message board, just like you are carrying on the vision of your mentors, I'm praying that someone will carry on the vision of the late Congressman John Conyers for reparations for the descendants of American slaves. And I think that's a worthy wish. I know that Sheila Jackson Lee had picked up that banner, who is also now deceased. I spoke at her funeral about her work. I was standing there when she asked Joe Biden at the signing of the executive order Joe Biden did on George Floyd. We couldn't get it through the Congress. He made an executive order on it. And on the platform, I was standing there with George Floyd's little daughter, and Sheila Jackson Lee and a couple other members of Congress were standing there. And she said to Biden that I need you to support having a reparations commission. And I chimed in. And so I know the work she was doing and getting that done. We did a whole lot of memos back and forth following that up. And I do think that's why I think that all this acrimony between those that want, as I do, as Sheila Jackson Lee did, and others do, see reparations. The acrimony ought not be between those that are seeking reparations. The acrimony ought to be with those that needs to be giving the reparations. And if there's going to be a commission or something, put everybody on the commission from whatever groups fight for reparations, and let's debate it out and come to some kind of common ground. But the reason why some of us suspect that some of the people talking that are coming from somewhere else, because why wouldn't they want common ground? Why wouldn't they want to sit down and discuss it? Why they just want to take shots at people? And, you know, it's a legitimate question. Well, Reverend, I think it should be for people that only was in the United States. Well, let's sit down and debate that out. We'll come out with a consensus like we do on other things. That's why the civil rights groups meet and we come out with a consensus. Let's sit down and talk about that. But you do understand that some of the main proponents of black liberation, African Americans' liberation from the slave trade, were not born here. Marcus Garvey, who I think advanced the idea more than anybody in his time, is from Kingston, Jamaica. So Stokely Carmichael, who made Black Power a slogan known all over the world, was born in Trinidad. So let's at least be respectful of each other and talk. You may disagree, but don't call Stokely Carmichael nothing or that Marcus Garvey was nothing, because then I got to say that you're either uninformed or you got other motives and you working for other interests. Because I came out of the King School of Thought. That's been my activism since I was 12 years old. Mentored by people like Jesse Jackson. I know who I am. That's what I do. And I'm mentored. I'm not an imitation. I do things that they did not do in terms of being able to reach certain boundaries that they could not because of them. So I know who I am. If you know who you are, you ain't got to be calling people's names. Stand up for what you stand up for, and let's see if there's common ground. We may say there's not common ground. But we ain't got to be calling each other a bunch of crazy stuff. That's when I say, no. You know, a lot of young people on staff, most of my staff is younger than me, both national and in our chapters, and they come to me saying, so-and-so. I said, no. don't get into, if somebody call you names and call the organization names or me name, don't get into that. Because anybody that just goes into name calling, they either for hire or they don't know how to defend their points, so they try to make it up with noise because they really don't know what they're talking about. They can't engage in the dialogue because they can't answer what you bring up, so they got to shut you down by screaming and hollering and calling you names. Fahima says, Reverend Al, the work on reparations has continued. As you can see, these mischief makers aren't fighting for anything other than division. Yeah, I think that's about right, Fahima. And I just thought I'd take time to explain that. And you've got to ask yourself the question, if they're fighting for division, who does that benefit? And you got to say, if it doesn't benefit us, then it's benefiting others. And are they working for others? Or they just don't understand that that's the only thing they're helping? Let's go to Ruth in Atlanta, Georgia on our live line. Ruth, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hi, Reverend Sharpton. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How you doing?
Oh, I'm just doing fine. Thank the Lord, and thank you for taking my call. But and all your employees, I should say, or some of your employees. But anyway, I didn't want to go through that. I wanted to know, have you ever put the robe on yet?
I wore it one time, not in public. I put it on to see how it looks, and I'm waiting on a special occasion. I'm going to wear it. It's a beautiful robe, and I take it very seriously because I know you and your husband prayed over it. I take it very seriously.
Yeah, well, I didn't know because everybody's asking me, when is he going to put the robe on? I said, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't have any idea. I'm waiting on the right occasion because I don't wear robes, but I'm going to wear this at the right occasion.
Well, I was doing what the Lord said do. So.
I understand that, and I'm going to respect that. I really do.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to make sure. But did you wear any of your footies that I made?
Yeah, I got them. They travel with me.
And what about your scarf?
I'm trying to remember where I was.
I made you a white scarf.
No, I have not got that. I don't remember that one. Let me look. Let me have them look again because I got it in the. I got some of the places. No, I don't remember white scarf. Let me look for it. Thank you for your call. Thank you for your prayers. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
We have a short visit today, so we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. It was one of the slave houses.
sir. It's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Right, last time. And we,
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have the slavery.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly. The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket.
Wow.
From South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James and Jesse.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And where I knew Jesse was from James, I started bread bank.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and helping push the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, do you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But Robert Culp used to do a show with Bill Cosby, I Spy, and he did a documentary on breadbasket, Robert Culp.
Oh, wow.
You need to see that documentary. It's great.
Absolutely.
I lived this. I didn't read this. I was there.
You true to this?
I'm true to this.
Not new to this.
I ain't new to this.
Walter Palm Troy,
He was
Jack Odell was one of the guys that Kennedy warned Dr. King about. Say he was a communist. Wow. Jack Odell and Stanley Levinson. And Reverend brought him in. Nobody else in the movement would deal with Jack. Reverend brought him in. Oh yeah, sure. Just us.
Just us.
But there's stories behind all of it. It didn't just happen.
But I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be in jail, but I am somebody. I may be an educator, but I am somebody. I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. I am somebody.
Come today. I see the Reverend Jesse Jackson is here. Lord, we thank you for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. I see the Honorable Maxine Waters is here. We thank you for Maxine Waters. You see the Reverend Al Sharpton is here. We thank you.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain. But love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality. Women.
London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go. Guys, what's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic.
Keeping it real.
Yet we survive. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. And we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. This is Warrior Witness Wednesday. I like that title someone gave us in the first hour. I'm trying to follow up on the breaking news of the Virginia Senate President Pro Tem Louise Lucas' office has been raided by the FBI. She led the redistricting fight in Virginia. The vote yes that stopped the MAGA onslaught to draw new lines. And now suddenly our office is raided. I'd use that as an example. I don't know the facts. I know, as I said earlier, it smells different, smells suspect to me. But I think that a lot of people don't understand. One of the reasons I'm always saying that be respectful of people that step out there, whether they are leaders of groups, whether they're politicians, leaders of a faith group, because once you become a public figure, you become the target of somebody. And it may not be somebody that you disagree with or agree with, but public figures become targets. So, and when I say targets, that's everything from trying to scandalize them or prosecute them or even harm them physically. So I respect anybody that can come out and stand up and put themselves out front and know that they're going to get some flack for it. It's easy for people to sit back at home or on the job and be some internet social media revolutionary. Because you're not exposed, nobody know you, your family's not exposed, nobody's in danger. But when you out there and everybody know you, who you are and what you stand for, everybody is not applauding you that's on your side. I tell the detail that travels with me from National Action Network doing security or assisting me on the road, and we'll go through the airport and 5 or 10 people will stop and want to take a selfie or want to talk to me or whatever. And I say, don't get all swept up in that. I've been here a long time. People grow up seeing you. It just goes with being out here that long. I said, but just know for every 10 people that stop me, there are 20 that would like to see me not walking through the airport, let's put it that way, or walking anywhere else. So don't get it twisted. Don't let it go to your head. And somebody that is not fighting or somebody that's fighting another way should at least respect the fact that if people think and care enough to risk their danger. I've been stabbed once. I done had confirmed police department threats against my life several times. Mayor Eric Adams talks about that. So if people are going to put themselves on the line, the least you could do is respect them. I'll never forget, I'm taking your calls, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We'll hear from people about Ohio's races and Indiana. Give me a call. I will never forget that I was sitting somewhere in my office when we first had the first House of Justice on Madison 125th. And secretary called and said that there's a Kwame Ture here, said he was in the neighborhood, wanted to see you. I said, that's Stokely Carmichael, who's named Kwame Ture. I went out and I was shocked to see him, and he came in and we talked. And I never will forget. He said, you know, you come out of the King movement, you're younger than me. Stokely was around Jesse's age. They were 13, 14 years older than me. He said, but I've watched you. He said, so I know you come out of the King stuff. I said, yeah. He said, you know, we gave Dr. King a fit when they had the Meredith March in Mississippi. James Meredith said he was going to have a march against fear. And he was going to march Memphis to Mississippi against fear. And first day, a guy shot him, almost killed him. So all the civil rights leaders at that time, Reverend Dr. King from SCLC, Stokely Carmichael, who was the head of SNCC at the time, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and others, said they rushed to that scene. It was going to pick up the march and finish the march that Meredith got shot on. And he said that, this is Kwame Ture talking to me. He says, so Willie Ricks and I, who was the vice chair or vice president, I might have the title wrong, of SNCC, we got together after the first night and said, you know what, we've been trying to get black power out there. Dr. King's here, draw all the press in the world. Now's the time to start the chant. He said the next day, second leg of the march, while they were doing We Shall Overcome, we started yelling black power, black power, black power. And it started getting covered by the media everywhere. And he said that I'll never get the third day. I walked over to Dr. King because I respected Dr. King. I just had different tactics. And Reverend Al, I said, Dr. King, you know we used your presence with the national media to get our slogan out there. And he said, Dr. King didn't argue with me, didn't tell me off. He said he patted me on the back and said, Stokely, I've been used before. Just do the right thing. He said, and I never thought about that conversation until I was sitting at his funeral in 1968. Now, this is in the late 90s, early 2000s. We're in my office, and he's telling me this. And he says, and I was sitting there at the funeral, and I started crying like I was a member of his family. I said, really? He said, because I thought about this man, though I had different tactics, this man gave his life for what he believed. And we're still alive. So at least we owe him the respect for being consistent and paying the ultimate price. I never got that. And I said, that really teaches me something, even though I was a King acolyte, is that you can respect people even if you have different tactics and different strategies, because they are out on the line. They get their brains blown out for what they want to do for our people. And you just selling wolf tickets, nobody know you. And you make sure they don't know you. All right, let's take some calls. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And or you can go on our message board, and that's at nationalactionnetwork.net, nationalactionnetwork.net. And I think I'm getting all these message board messages about the race in Pennsylvania with Senator Sharif Street and Chris Rabb. That must be a hot race, because a lot of folks is texting about that. And I'm going to see what happens there. We did do a rally in Philly. I'm trying to think of when it was, but it was kicking off our HBCU tour, and we did it there at one of the historic churches there in Philly. And I know Senator Street was there and helped pull together. I don't know if Rab was there or not, but I knew that night that this is going to be one to watch, and I'm watching it. Interesting. I think we did Ruth. Give me the other callers. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let me also say this. I think that it is imperative that we participate in these local races, because even if you get everything at the top and they send federal funds down, they're going to be administered and dealt with by local races and local people. So don't think that a state office like state senate in Philly or city council don't mean anything. That is the way it gets to you or does not get to you. It's important. And I think that we must deal with these local races as a priority. If it wasn't for the local elected officials in Virginia, they would have gotten away with that. They would have gotten away with that tape. They would have gotten away with that going to change the districting. And I think that it is imperative that we understand our strength and that our weaknesses is having a field day because of our lack of being big enough to fight this fight. You gotta be big to fight this fight, because you're dealing with unconscionable, ruthless enemies. And you got to be willing to stand up and deal with them openly and deal with them practically. All right, let's get ready to take a break. We are opening up the phones again. I'm going to take your calls. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
It's simple.
Los Angeles chapter, NASDAQ Network. He just came in here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice, so I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
Martin
many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
and I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say, you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age
He was about 12. Wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend. Or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, the Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor, who stayed right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them. Now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old. With the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. I understand our phone lines are having a problem, but keep trying to get through. Interim, let me ask a question. There are those that have joined various churches, various religious denominations by culture and others by conviction. I have in the office the special assistant to me as president of NAN, Reverend Dr. Cassius Rudolph. And Cassius, you've been in ministry how long?
Rev, I've been in ministry probably about 15 years, just about.
And how long have you pastored?
Coming up on my 7th year.
All right, now, did you become your Baptist minister?
Mm-hmm.
Did you become a Baptist based on your family and culture and community, or based on your conviction? And the second part of that question, how much is our religious beliefs based on our culture and our environment and not based on our conversion? Or how much of it is both?
I think, to answer the first part of your question, for me, I was born Baptist, born in Baptist Church in Chicago, South Side. Shout out to Mount Moriah Baptist Church. And my late pastor was the Reverend Dr. O.C. Nix. And so I think for black people, and primarily I'll say myself first, I think sometimes culturally we go a certain route until we get, I think, of a certain age. As my great grandmother would say, I can tell you about Jesus, I can show you about Jesus, but you got to know about Jesus for yourself. And so growing up in a traditional Baptist church on the south side of Chicago, I went because my family went. But even at a young age, I accepted Christ as my personal savior, probably around 7 or 8 years old. And I learned for myself that this is the doctrine that I want to know about. You know, this is what I believe on my own accord. And the traditional Black Baptist church played a major role into the minister I am today. And when I think about it culturally, I think our folks, depending on how they were raised, where they were raised, and who raised them, kind of help shape their spiritual identity. And so we see that today.
Yeah, I mean, I was born, my parents, my mother was Baptist, and my father was Pentecostal. And so my mother joined Church of God in Christ, Washington Temple, because of the marriage to my father. And I was baptized at 3 years old. And my sister, who was 2 years older than me, was 5. And by the time I was 4, I said I wanted to preach. I was preaching to my sister's dolls, whatever Bishop Washington preached that Sunday morning. And I knew I wanted to be a preacher, and they let me preach at the Junior Usher Board anniversary. Everybody had an assignment. I said I wanted to preach. They let me preach. And Bishop Washington said, well, I think he's anointed. I started as a boy preacher. And by the time I was 6, 7, I was on the circuit, as they would call it, traveling as a wonder boy preacher.
Wow.
So I probably was affected by the environment that my parents brought me to church. But the conviction that I wanted to stay there and preach did not come from my parents. My father was not a minister.
Yeah.
My grandfather was not a minister. So I say all that to say there is a balance between those that say, well, they do it because it was their culture or their family,
right,
and those of us that our instincts lead us to a certain path, which you and I would call our calling. You know, some people say instincts, some people say calling. But when there's something that draws you into something that had nothing to do with your parents or culture,
that's right,
then you can't say that just culture. I know 4 years old, I know what culture was.
Right.
And like I said, it wasn't like my daddy was a preacher.
I agree, Rev. And I think about your story, reading it, over the years, and I think about my own story. I knew early on that God was going to call me into ministry.
You did?
Yeah. It just felt like a tugging, nagging, burdensome type of feeling. And it wouldn't leave you until you gave way to it. And so even as a young man growing up in church, I was in the choir, learn how to play the organ growing up, learn how to sing and speak. I love debating, I love oration, but I love speaking in church. And so when I accepted my call to ministry in 2010, I knew it was my purpose. And now walking as a pastor and have had the opportunity to teach before and speak, when you called into purpose to do what God has called.
You're being humble. You just got your PhD.
Yep. So I graduate this Friday from Garrett Theological Seminary in
with
Northwestern.
A doctorate.
Right. Yep. Doctorate in ministry degree. And I just knew this was the route. A D-Min is more of your practical route. My project was on my church, doing social justice and community engagement on the local level, creating a model for the greater community to use. We're living in a special time where me and you both know that it was the Black church that served as an epicenter for Black life. We did everything in the church: vote education, building community partnerships and networks, and teaching our children about education. That was our place. And so part of my thesis and project is creating a toolkit for churches to use, especially in this era that we're living in.
Now, the advantage that some have is if they're born into a pastor's or bishop's family.
Mm-hmm.
The disadvantage of those of us that didn't is that we weren't, so the road is not paved for us.
Right.
But I think in some ways it gives us an advantage because we have to work harder to prove ourselves.
Yeah.
We take it more seriously and sometimes dig more deeply. I'm not against people,
right,
and I don't belittle their gifts, but I think that it is interesting to me the difference between the two. I think one of the reasons, and I don't know if I've ever said this too much publicly, but I think one of the reasons that when I joined Operation Breadbasket, I was 12, and I'd already been running around behind Adam Clayton Powell. Let's take the break, and I'll finish this on the other side. They're trying to get the phone line straight, but I enjoy talking to you. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, talking to Reverend Dr. Cassius Rudolph. Be right back.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich New Dennis, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand.
Black Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, it's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are. Because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
In London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys, what's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive. There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had
Reverend Al
Sharpton,
Sharpton, and we're back.
And it was
1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go on the message board at our nationalactionnetwork.net on live stream, nationalactionnetwork.net. They're having problems with the phone lines in Dallas at our studio. I think they're getting calls through now. I was asking Reverend Rudolph, let me say, as we take some of these calls, again, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. I'm already on the phones working this weekend. Make sure you watch at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. I'm going to dig deep into what's going on these, the backlash on these votes in Virginia, the raiding of this Senate President Pro Tem's office by the FBI. I'm going to deal with the whole question of the Iran war, the whole question of where we are in these redistricting fights and where we need to take it. And, of course, I am going to be at the Saturday Action Rally in Harlem at the historic Mother AME Zion Church, 137th between Lenox and 7, 9 a.m. to 11. Make sure you watch Politics Nation, and if you're not in the New York area, you can watch the rally on Saturday morning on Impact TV or YouTube/NAN or NationalActionNetwork.net. Reverend, what I was getting ready to say is that some basically come out of a lineage, family lineage, I'm talking about, not spiritual lineage, of their father, grandfather. When I joined Operation Breadbasket when I was 12, I'd already been an admirer at 11 years old of Adam Clayton Powell. He knew my bishop. I would try to get my mother to let me go up to Abyssinian Baptist Church to see him. Finally, she did. But he retired to Bimini, and my bishop brought me to Reverend William Jones. I became part of Breadbasket. All of them, Bishop Washington, who was my Kojic pastor, Reverend Jones, who was the head of Breadbasket in New York, and later became my pastor, rebaptized me a Baptist. They came from a family where their father and grandfather had been big pastors. So I didn't have that lineage.
Right.
So as I got involved in Breadbasket and met Jesse Jackson, who was a little younger than them, but 13 years older than me, he didn't come from that lineage. He was born out of wedlock. I wasn't born out of wedlock, but my father abandoned me, so he had the same family dysfunction, didn't come out of that lineage. So I think that was part of what attracted me to him.
Yeah.
And say, you know how young boys and girls could be? Well, I can be like that because I wasn't born like that.
Right.
And he became a central mentor in my life. So a lot of it is, you know, we say in the church, well, some of it doesn't make sense, but God puts things in your path, and other people feel it just happened. Well, however it happened, I don't believe life is an accident. I just don't.
Yeah, and I totally agree, Rev. I don't believe in accidents. I believe that God put people in our lives to complete and fulfill purpose for our lives and for His glory. I think about your story and coming up behind Reverend, coming out of the King Jackson lineage, and now creating this space for us young civil rights preachers coming up behind you, going through this legacy, and seeing how God can take something out of nothing and make something greater, not only for ourselves, but for the greater community. And that's how God works. And I often hear you say how God works in continuity. Nothing is new under the sun. We think about the generations of the prophets in the Bible, even with Jesus himself coming up through all these generations, coming into kingdom ministry and work. I think about my own story and the story that we have of our people. We've come a long way, and a lot of us did not come from families who had that. Now, my grandfather was a preacher in Mississippi, my mom's father, but outside of that, I didn't have a lot of direct contact, not in family, but my pastor growing up in our church, we had these mentors who did the work. Now, growing up in the old school Baptist church in Chicago, they was not very social justice heavy. It was me growing up.
Neither was Church of God in Christ at that time. It is more now, but not then.
Right, same here. And so it was me going through being active in high school in small organizations, becoming involved myself and seeing these models of a Reverend Jackson in Chicago and local activists, and then going through college through graduate school, and now, you know, we've been active in this stuff. But even as a kid, I would question things. I can remember growing up in my church, I would ask my pastor, you know, those people are in need, you know, where's the money of the church going? You know, you riding around this great big old Lincoln Town car, you know, how are we helping the community, and how are we doing this with our tithes and offerings and things of that nature? And so we've had examples of great leadership, and God will put us where we need to be to get the mission work completed.
Let's go to Ron in Maryland. The phone lines are back up. Ron, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Rudolph.
Yes, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton, to the other minister there. Reverend Sharpton, I'm calling because there is a program out to help our faith-based organizations. You have a Reverend Julius Mims, and it's called How to Transform Utility Bills into Live Income Streams for Faith-Based Organizations and Nonprofits. So I sent the information to Chris Matthews at the NAN office, and I wanted to make sure that you got that information, because this information is it's a state-run program for community solar, and it is absolutely free.
What is the name of the program?
It's called Save and Serve. That's the name of the program.
Save and Serve. All right, I'll check it with Cassius, not Cassius, with Christian, because I get a pile from the administrative office every day, and believe me, it's hard for me to go through everything, but I'll see if I can pull that and look at it.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about, Rev, is I was on a Zoom call last night with an organization called Win with Black Men, and they had black candidates from all over the country that were running from political office, and it may be something you might be interested in getting someone from that organization, because they're trying to mobilize around the country to drive out to vote. And I would like to encourage people in the DMV area, such as myself. I'll be there on Monday. Reverend Barber has been hosting Moral Mondays marches concerning issues around our communities that we need to make sure that we support what Reverend Barber is doing in terms of mobilizing the vote to get our people out this upcoming midterm. So I just wanted to mention that.
We're doing a 23-city tour, and definitely, I'm sure that we all go. I talked to Janae Nelson at noon today from the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. She's the head of it. She just wanted to argue the case in front of the Supreme Court, and we've got some plans we're going to do with her. I work closely with the head of the Urban League, Mark Morial. I think everybody has their lane and their agenda, and we all should support all of them, because all of them, we never have a period in history. Thank you for your call. We never had a period in history, Reverend Rudolph, that it was just one way. People, don't realize we had Dr. King, Malcolm X, Thurgood Marshall, Fannie Lou Hamer, all at the same time.
Right.
We never was a thing that was just one way. It's always been a variety. And in our best, the varieties complement each other.
Yeah.
And in our worst, we play against each other. This is not a time of competition. Yeah. This is a time of continuity and trying to find out ways that we could have operational unity. Mm-hmm. Even if we disagree on certain specifics, if we can operate in a unified way, because we have not had in my lifetime a more anti-black environment than we do now, coming from the White House and the Supreme Court. So we can't afford to be taking shots at each other.
Yeah.
I hear people take shots and I get mad like anybody else, but I refrain from that because we don't need to feed into that. People don't need me to be arguing with somebody.
Yeah.
I say what I got to say, keep moving, and say, why can't we sit down and talk?
Right.
Because we're in danger.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in troubled waters, as the old folks would say.
Right.
This period causes for us to be spreading unity and togetherness. Like you said, it's always been different ways. You had SNCC, you had CORE, you had Breadbasket. Even when you think about our denominational work, you got COGIC, National Baptist, Progressive Baptist. You have our Muslim sisters and brothers. If the world ever needed unity today, especially among Black America, we need to get together right now, because we're at the precipice of them rolling back everything we ever fought for. And as you said in the past, it's only been 61 years since we've gotten this far, and everything that we worked for, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, is at the precipice of being gutted more than ever. And you have people that actually march with King and march with Mega and all those who are still living today. And I can only imagine what they feel like to see what's going on in our country. So we got to preach this togetherness with the different generation of young leaders.
Well, they need to know that history.
Got to know.
And they need to know it. If they don't get it from us, where they going to get it from? I hear the music going to have to go. The phone lines did come back up. So you that did call in tomorrow. I will be there. I will be here, rather, and during the show. As old folk used to say, God willing and the creek don't rise. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.